What's happening, chaps? Here we are back again, the After Hours Dialogue. I'm your host, Nipho, and I've got Mo at the back. This episode is going to be quite personal, okay? I'm not going to just be speaking about me as a person, but my boxing journey as well. Now, it hasn't started off the best way, but we move. You guys, if you go to the same gym as I do, you see me train, you see me lace the gloves up and beat the brakes off of the men that I train with. I enjoy doing it. If you follow me on Instagram, you most certainly see the runs. 17k here, 17k there, 51k's in a week. At the end of the month, 250, 230 kilometers completed. Average pace, you might be asking, 4 minutes, 40 seconds. That's just the way that I am, and that's the way I do things. But it's not always that good. Sometimes sometimes I wake up feeling horrible. I wake up feeling sad. Wake up feeling unmotivated. I'm tired sometimes. I don't want to train, but I do it anyway. So we're going to dive into this topic, and I hope you lot enjoy this. I'm sure you will. I believe it to be quite interesting. So Mo, say something in the back and let them know that you're still alive.
Okay, chaps, for this episode, I'm going to take a back seat and let the man tell you what he does, pretty much.
Yeah, so listen, I know in the first episode, I spoke about my first fight and whatnot, which didn't end the way I intended on it ending. But things happen in life. Sometimes things don't go according to plan. But in the grand scheme of things, if you still do what you need to do, odds are you have a happy ending. Now, I told you the story. The preparation was abysmal. You see, when I lost that fight, it wasn't because of skill. It wasn't because of even, how do I say this, fitness. I ticked every box. Preparation was the issue. The weighing was what knocked me out. And I must be honest, it was my fault, as I've said in the first episode of this podcast. But I'm going to say it again. We keep moving. You learn a lot, fighting. And the fight most certainly humbled me. And the humbling is never a bad thing. I'd argue it makes you a better person, You would argue that my confidence is, not even argue that my confidence, but you could assume that my confidence is lower than it was when I had that first fight. You would think it is because, first round TKO, that's just unacceptable in my books. But it happened, And it might sound crazy, but I take it as a blessing if I'm being honest. It just makes my story that much more interesting. Because when I say it in past tense, especially after the success, sounds quite interesting. It sounds inspiring, to say the least. Now, Mo, I'm going to have to ask you to give me that first question, because right now I'm the interviewee in this pod, and then Mo's going to be the one who's asking questions, interrogating, and whatnot.
Okay, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. I think everyone's seen the comments under the previous boxing episode. Bro, what went wrong?
Regarding the fight, to put a very long story short, it was all preparation. I mean it when I say this. The gent that I fought is nowhere near on my level when we're talking about skill, when we're talking about God-given ability. He won, and I'm not going to take that away from him, but I believe why he won also matters just as much. It wasn't a thing of, this guy's hitting me with shots that I just can't evade. I stayed in the exact same spot for the entire round. Ask yourself, how does a guy who runs as often as I do not just move away from the ropes? I stayed there. If he had as much power as one would think, and he hits my shoulders and I feel like I just got shot, I would have made a way. I would have made a plan to move positions. I wouldn't be on the ropes, but I didn't. I stayed. And that's a good question to ask yourself. Why did I stay if he had that much power? Why was I in the same place? Why didn't I just, quite frankly, run away? There was no power. There was no skill. But he caught me with a good punch that I didn't see. But I'd argue that the punch did as much damage as it did because of the dehydration, as I've stated before. So that's where I'm at. Mo, it was a thing of preparation. It was a thing of not making weight and doing so in such an unhealthy way. And that's just the way that it is. That's how the cookie crumbled, and I'm content with it right now. There's no resentment towards him in any way, because I like to think of himself as I think of myself as a professional. We competed, fight's over, If he wants to fight again, if he wants a rematch, I'll be more than welcome to entertain the idea. Not just that, but actually have one.
So you accept complete accountability for what happened. Like you said to me plenty of times, in this life as a man, you need to take 100% accountability for whatever happens to you. More so, you say that because then you become more in control of the situation. With that being said, what are you doing differently this time around? Why do the viewers need to tune into your next fight, whatever they're doing?
Listen, number one reason as to why you need to tune into my next fight is entertainment. Because if there's one thing that I can guarantee you, because I know when you listen to me speak, it's quite interesting. Whether you don't like me or do like me, you can't say that when I'm speaking, it's boring. You can't say that my ideas are disinteresting. And it's the same way when fighting. I know how to give the people a show. I know how to give the people what their money's worth. Not just in showboating, but the skill, the absolute panache. I'm that guy to watch. And I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to say it in 2025. So by the time you lot listen to this in God knows whatever year it is, I'm saying, yo, put all the pressure on me. Because as far as I'm concerned, pressure's only for tires. I'm keen, 100% keen for all the smoke. Whoever wants it can get it, and that's just my mentality. And I mean it when I say it. Whoever wants it can get it. And I want all the smoke from anyone who's willing to get it. Because that's just the way that I am. This is also about redemption. As we've spoken, 21st of February 2025, abysmal performance. I promise to not have anything like that happen again. And it won't happen again. But the preparation is 100% better this time round. I know I'm speaking as if I've gotten a fight, as if I have one confirmed. The truth is, I do. 25th of October 2025, I'm fighting Northern Cape. Can't give out too many details right now, but I'm excited. If you're not going to watch this fight, you'll watch the third fight that I have. If not the third, then the fourth. But you're going to get entertainment. You're going to get what your money's worth. You're going to see the redemption. Last fight, I didn't take my opponent as seriously as I should have, and that was a mistake that I made, and it costed me. It's partly why I did lose, partly why the preparation wasn't as good, but at least I can sit down and say, yo, him on his best day versus me on my best day, it's a clean sweep. It's going to be an absolute doozy, which I wouldn't be surprised as to finding out that he doesn't want to smoke. And I respect that, you know what I mean? Protecting the record. But Mo, that's what you'll get in my next fight.
And in terms of preparation, what are you doing differently? I mean, you struggled making weight last time. What are you doing differently now?
I mean, the last time the issue was, making sure I hit my protein goal. The knowledge I had then when it came to making weight wasn't as good, and I didn't hire a dietitian. I had this mentality of, yo, do it all on your own. And that's not the right mentality to have, Help is needed at the end of the day. And the preparation wasn't as good because I didn't ask for as much help as I should have asked for. You know what I mean? It was a thing of, yo, I'm not reaching the protein goal. I'm training, like an absolute madman. I'm going through extreme lengths, running, sparring, hitting the bag, pad work, but I'm not eating anything. I'm starving myself because the only thing in my brain is the number on the scale. I'm not cognizant at the point that, okay, you're starving yourself, but your body's also eating away at your muscle. It got even worse when it came time, to cut the water, a few days before weigh-in, a day before weigh-in, starving myself for over 24 hours. It was an issue. And that's just the fact of the matter. That's just the way the cookie crumbled, Mo. So it's one of those things. And that's what I'm doing differently. Making sure my diet's on point. Make sure I hit my protein goals. It's not a thing of discipline. Discipline's never been the question with me. The question has just been preparation regarding the nutrients, the nutrition that I need in my body, in my system.
And obviously you're doing an individual sport. I mean, especially in combat, that lowliness must take its toll, I mean, you've seen tennis players like Roger Federer, Andy Murray touch on this, that the fact that after a loss, you're just completely by yourself. You know, when you're on the court, when you're practicing, it's just you and your thoughts. How do you deal with that?
I mean, that's 100% true. You know what I mean? When you're in the ring, nobody can fight for you. Not your trainer, not your relatives. It's just 1v1, you versus the person in front of you. And when you lose, it is you who has to go to bed at night with those thoughts in your brain. Where did I go wrong? You know, what went wrong? The list goes on of things that you're just pondering over. And how I deal with it is moving forward. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it's difficult. You know what I mean? You have to be patient with yourself. You have to keep moving forward. You have to keep training as if your next fight is the following day. Even though you don't know when your next fight is, one has to continue training. And that's what I do. That's how I get over it. And most importantly, I pray 110%. You know, for those who don't know, yeah, I'm Christian and I do take that quite seriously as well. You know, we all make mistakes in life. We're not perfect. Human beings by nature are flawed. But I'm Christian and I put God before everything and anything. And I pray. Training without prayer to me doesn't do much, if anything, at all. So Mo, I definitely say training, but the number one thing I do is definitely praying to God, asking for guidance.
When do you pray? Do you pray before training or just before the actual fight? Like, do you have any rituals? Do you, I don't know,
So
tie your
regarding
left boot
boxing or in
first?
general,
In general, like even just small little things that prepare you mentally.
I mean, I make sure to train every single day, especially before I go to bed. You know what I mean? Like if I forget to pray in the morning, I'm definitely praying I'm definitely praying at night. You know, prayer is my number one weapon. You know, it's the number one thing that I know no matter how bad things are, even if I don't understand them, God is somebody, not even somebody, but God is who I trust and lay all my troubles onto. I'm not trying to get too religious, but this is just the truth in what I do. You know, regarding sparring, do I train before sparring? I mean, do I pray before sparring? I do, but you know, a lot of people think prayer and they think, oh, he's praying because he's afraid. I just pray for guidance. I pray to remember and use everything that I've gained in training. You know what I mean? I pray not because I'm just in trouble. I'm not one of those gents who are only going to pray when things are going bad. Even when things are going right, even when I know, I've got this session in the bag, I've got this fight in the bag, I'm still praying because if God doesn't want it to work, if God doesn't want it to happen, if God doesn't want you to succeed, you won't succeed no matter how hard you train, no matter how hard you study, no matter how hard you work. At the end of the day, if God deems you not fit for whatever goal you have to be accomplished, it won't be. But yeah, prayer is the number one for me. And I pray before sparring, I pray before training, I pray at night, even in the morning. You know, I'm not trying to virtue signal, but that's just the truth in it all.
Back on the loneliness, do you feel sometimes like forgotten or perhaps overlooked?
I mean, I do get that feeling, but the feeling makes sense. You know, where I am in my career right now, I'm a nobody. That's just the way that it is. Nobody knows who I am. Hardly anyone has seen me fight. You know, I haven't had that many fights. I haven't had that much exposure with, not even just fights, but with the way I train. And that's something that I'm fixing. You know what I mean? When it comes to, the personal content, chaps, understand it's on the way. The personal YouTube content, it's gonna be fire. You know what I mean? But I do feel overlooked sometimes. And I don't take offense to it. I don't feel any type of way. Because as I said, right now, I'm a nobody. But with my personality and who I am, I don't see myself being the underdog for most of my career. You know, with the way I fight, with the way I act, I mean, I'm the A side in my brain every time I'm fighting, even in sparring. I be sparring, I'm thinking I'm at a sold out MSG T-Mobile arena, I'm thinking I'm in a sold out stadium, FNB, DHL, and inshallah, one day it will be. And yeah, bro. I'm just thinking about training right now, and it's like, like in my brain, I'm walking into that arena with, you can just hear the crowds just screaming. You can hear the crowds just making a crazy amount of noise, and I'm just there walking with my team, titles behind me, and like shit's just going on. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Okay, this is extremely random, but what would your walk-in song be? Because I know mine for sure.
But the thing is with me, right, I don't have like a said walking song. Like I'm one of those gents where, when walking in, I want to change the tracks. Not in the middle of me walking in, but like this fight is going to be this track, the next fight is going to be a different track, you know what I mean? I don't have like a motivational song. I'm not one of those gents. Even when it comes to warming up, I don't have any rituals like, yo, I have to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not superstitious. I could warm up right now in my attire that I'm in right now and go have a fight. Literally, I'm one of those gents. I'm not superstitious enough to have rituals, but a walk-in song, yo, bro.
Like I'm talking biggest night of your life, like sold out arena. Cause I know mine, bro.
What's yours?
Okay, so do you know Sugar Sean, the UFC fighter?
Yeah, O'Malley.
Bro, that superstar song,
Yeah.
mad. But me personally, it's gonna have to be Skyfall, bro, by Adele.
That's actually fucking hard.
It's a track, yeah.
No, that's
it's a
actually
track.
hard. No, I actually
like-
think of that. Because my thing is this, like we've spoken about Adele in the pod, previous episodes, the one regarding, Thailand went on. Yo, listen, that's actually a good one, eh? Like I've thought of Adele as a walk-in track. Actually, no, I haven't. I've just thought of Adele when it comes to music, but as a walk-in song. Now Skyfall, listen, since you said that, Mo, I don't know what fight it's gonna be. But Oaks, one day when you see me walking out, Adele Skyfall, Mo came up with the idea. Because I'm actually gonna I'm gonna make it happen. But it has to be epic, you know what I mean? Like it has to be, just out of this world. But right now I'm thinking, yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, I'm just gonna say Timeless by The Weeknd featuring Playboy Cardi. That's what I'd say. Timeless. Because that's quite ironic as well, because it'd be a timeless fight. If it's the biggest night of my life, in my brain, it's gonna be one of those fights that just lost to the end of time. Something people watch 70 years later, 100, but that'd be my walk-in track.
Bro, what motivates you to keep on training, especially after such a devastating loss? Most people would have already tapped out, called it a day. Maybe even, I don't know, paddle's a new thing. Maybe thought, okay, let me just move to paddle and try to become a pro in that. Or, I don't know, let's pick up Olympic swimming, What keeps you motivated to keep on training every single day, especially after such a devastating loss on your very first fight?
I definitely say the first thing would be, just proving to God that I deserve what it is that I'm asking for. All of us have dreams and aspirations, and I'm not the only one who has these dreams that I speak of right now. I'm sure there's multiple pugilists all around the globe who have the same, goals, the same ideas of their dream, where they're trying to be the best person. They're trying to be, top main attraction, the cash cow. But do you deserve it? Does God think you deserve it? Because if you do and God believes it, that means you should have it. So what keeps me going, what keeps me training even though things aren't going well, is to prove to God that whatever it is that I'm asking for, this massive dream that I have in my brain, in my head, I'm deserving of it. I'll wake up 2 a.m. in the morning, no problem. I'll go on that 17K, 21K, you name it. There's not a thing I won't do to achieve what it is that I'm set out to achieving. And that's just the way that I am. And, talk is cheap. Anybody can say this. Anybody can say that. Anybody can say, yo, I want to be the biggest fighter. I want to be main attraction. I want to be just as good, if not better, than Terence Crawford, than Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez. The list goes on. But how many people are willing to put in the work? How many people are willing to go through not just that physical turmoil, but mental, emotional turmoil? I believe I'm one of those guys who are willing to go through it, and there's proof in the pudding. No matter how I'm feeling, no matter how terrible my day is, no matter how much doubt that is in my heart, in my brain, I make sure to go on that run. I make sure to go to the gym. I make sure to spar as if tomorrow's going to be the biggest night of my entire life. That's just the way that I am. And secondly, I'd say my mother, 110%. You probably don't know this, but my mother is deceased, and my mother is somebody who I love more than anything. I'm sure a lot of gents can relate to having a loving mother. my mother loved me unconditionally and she believed in my dream. You know, one of the last things she said before dying was that she knows I'm gonna make it. You know, and I even told her, I was like, yo, mom, you know, I'm gonna make you proud one day. And she said, I know. And those words, they hold so much weight to a point where no matter how tough my day is, no matter how difficult, you know, no matter how bad my mood is, those words, I know, just those two words, they have me going. They have me pursuing what it is that I'm pursuing, which is my destiny at the end of the day. So those two things, yeah, they keep me going.
And in such a intense sport like boxing, for example, how do you keep that same intensity, especially when you've been knocked down? I mean, I consider myself a boxing casual, not an expert, of course, but for example, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury won, 12th round. It looks like Tyson's gone, on the floor. And then he just revived himself. Like, I've always looked at boxing and I'm like, oh my days, like how do you
Get up.
how do you just get up,
Yeah.
How do you maintain that same intensity, that same sort of vigor, especially after such a devastating blow?
I mean, at the end of the day, the hardest choices in life require the strongest wills. For those who know that quote, you know what I'm talking about. You know, there has to be something inside of you, and only you'll know what it is that gets you to get up. You know, and that's one of the beautiful things about boxing is that it teaches you so many lessons about life. You're going to get knocked down in life. There's going to be times where you hit the ground and it's just so painful. It's so disheartening. But you have to get up. You have to find it in yourself. But it's only you who can pick yourself up, not other people. You know, there has to be something inside of you, and people have different reasons as to why they get up. But whatever it is, it has to be something extremely powerful, you know? It has to be more, it has to be something that just keeps you going. It has to be the gasoline in your engine. It has to be the electricity that's powering everything, your heartbeat. But everybody has a different reason. I'd say definitely my mother's one of them. And as I said, God. I also have to make people proud that look to me and believe in my dream and in my goals. My brothers being one of them, you as well, Mo. So I say that's what has somebody come up, you know? Because at the end of the day, it's a mental thing. It's not like you can't do it, you can. But the only way you do is if you choose to. And the only way you don't is if you choose to as well. It's all a choice at the end of the day. So yeah, like that's to answer your question.
And how important is legacy for you? For example, I know he's kind of a meme right now, but KSI, for example,
Yeah.
right? He got asked a question as to why he does the music, he does the boxing, he does all of these sort of like side ventures when he could retire tomorrow with the amount that he's accumulated from his YouTube career. But he always points to the fact that it's legacy. That's the thing that matters most to him.
I mean, legacy is most certainly important because with a good legacy, you immortalize yourself. Even when you die, your body is dead. People will remember your legacy. They'll speak of you as if it'll almost be as if you're still alive, because is one truly dead if others are still speaking of him? Legacy is something that I say as a man, it's so important, you know, because it's almost a way of being immortal. Even after your death, people still remember you, people still speak of you and are in awe of your accomplishments. So legacy most certainly does matter, but at the end of the day, money does as well, you know, and you have to find the balance between the two. You have a guy like Terrence Bud Crawford, who just most recently had his fight. I don't know when you guys are going to be listening to this episode, but he most recently had his fight a few days ago against Canelo Alvarez. Both of them, Saul Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Bud Crawford, incredible legacy. I mean, these are boxers who will be remembered, you know, forever, but they also had a massive check. So legacy most certainly, it is important. You know, it's something that I take seriously as well. But I need the bread as well, Mo. I can't lie to you. That's just something that I need. yeah, like it's something I think of even when training. I'm like, okay, I need to do things that other fighters haven't thought of doing. I have to do things that, people couldn't even imagine being done. And legacy doesn't necessarily have to mean winning every single fight. Who knows? I may be saying this as a cope, but I believe a good legacy is being a fighter who fights the best competition, being a fighter who gives the people their money's worth, somebody who fights and people are in awe with the skill, in awe with the dedication, the work ethic. That's what I think it means to leave a good legacy, and having a good legacy just lasts forever, Mo. So yeah, like that's the answer to the question.
Do you think you'll get there though?
Listen, I couldn't be more certain. You know what I mean? I couldn't be more certain. I most certainly, yo, like the amount of things I could say right now, I'll bet anything. I'll put my life on the line, like word to my mother. It's a guarantee. And I know this not just because I have this feeling, but with the way that I'm working, with the way that I'm training, it makes this much sense as to why I wouldn't make it. It makes this much sense as to why I wouldn't be main attraction, pay-per-view, killing it. Come on, man. Skill like this. I'm on the mic chatting the way I chat. Come on, the work ethic. Yo, I have that type of shit that nobody can buy. Nobody. Nobody can teach it. Your coach can't teach you how to chat like me. Listen, am I gonna make it? That's like asking, is the sun gonna come up tomorrow? Do you know what I mean? To me, it's inevitable. I couldn't be more certain, and I'll put anything on it. So that's a given.
So with this level of certainty, are you not scared for your next fight? Because I think, like you've already said in private, but we're an open and honest podcast here.
Yeah.
Our audience are basically our family.
Yeah.
But are you not scared? Because a lot is riding on the second fight. There's people that are literally waiting to laugh at you again. Like, is there not an element of, oh my days, if this goes wrong, I'm done? Or, do you not have fear?
Listen, it depends on your definition of fear. I'm more dialed in than ever. And there's most certainly people who are wanting to watch me fail. And I don't even hate those people, if I'm being honest. I don't even feel any type of way about them because they aren't my anchor. They aren't the people I go to when I'm going through hardship. So what they think, especially regarding me losing, I couldn't be asked, and that's just me being fair. But am I afraid? I don't think I am, bro. I'm more dialed than ever. Like, and honestly, if I was afraid, I think I'd actually say it on this podcast. But genuinely speaking, I'm not. I feel more motivated than ever because you know why? I know that I can take it. You see, there's undefeated fighters, loads of them, everywhere around the globe. Not just in South Africa, not just in the United States of America, not just in the UK, everywhere, undefeated. They don't know how it feels like to lose. They don't know what would happen to them if they were to lose. I took that L. I'm still here. You know what I mean? So I know I can take defeat. I know I can eat embarrassment. I'm not afraid of embarrassing myself. I'm one of those people who believe you can't have massive goals. You can't have massive dreams and aspirations, but be afraid to fail. Be afraid to embarrass yourselves. I'm putting myself out there in front of you, the public. God knows how many people are going to watch this clip, not just when it drops, not just this year, in the next 2 years, decade. This clip's going to stay on the net forever. And I'm saying all that I'm saying. I'm not afraid to embarrass myself. I'm not afraid of getting knocked out. I'm not saying it can't happen. Yo, I have a TKO in my first fight. Yeah, I wasn't knocked spark out, but it's a TKO at the end of the day. The ref stopped the fight. And I ate that. You know what I mean? It wasn't easy. It most certainly was difficult, but it's something that I've processed in my brain, something that I've accepted. So I know I can take a loss. So what is there to be afraid of, honestly? Especially when I know I train as hard as I train. I'm not nervous. Not at all.
Well, you've got your fight now. What are the final thoughts that you want to tell the viewers?
Regarding the
Motivate
fight?
them to tune in. Motivate them already now to mark their calendars. Drop whatever plans they have. Nan's wedding. Okay, not Nan, but like
Yeah, nah.
aunt's wedding, sister's wedding.
Drop those plans.
Yeah, like
Neeps is fighting. Grand Maestro.
anything planned in the calendar, you scrap it right now. Why?
listen, as I said before, you're gonna get entertainment. Even if the fight lost one round, you're gonna look at that fight, you're gonna be like, damn, this guy knows how to he knows how to get busy in the ring. This guy knows how to hit the boogie in the ring. He knows how to get jiggy with it. He knows exactly what's going on. Grand Maestro for a reason. And why is that my alias? Bro, Grandmasters in chess have lost chess matches, you know? But the loss builds you more than the win. I could be saying this as a cope, but is it really a cope if it's true? You know? I've gone wiser. I've gone better. Not just physically, but mentally from that loss. Yo, mark your calendars, 25th of October. And if the fight gets moved or postponed, I'll be sure to make the people know. But, I'm excited. You're bound to catch a show with me. Cancel all the plans you have. And even if you don't watch the fight, listen, I get it. There's gonna be clips going on about it. You're gonna see some photos. And I'm definitely gonna post on the personal YouTube account. Gonna have to have that take off as well. I need to get more serious on that one. Start the filming process, start the editing. But if there's one thing about me, you see me, not just in person operate, hear me talk, but you see me fight. You're not gonna forget. I'm one of those gents who just have it, bro. Nobody knows how, nobody knows why. I got that X factor. You know what I'm saying? The pretty smile, fluent talk. Listen, the way I move my lips, you'd swear I could be a pimp. That's the type of gent that I am. So listen, mark your calendars. Stay tuned. Someone's getting the brakes beaten off of them, you know what I mean? I'm chopping Oak's bodies up like grade A meat. So yeah, I don't know how long we've been chatting for. I think it's time for our final segment, isn't it? Asking me the hypothetical questions. What is it, Mom?
Okay, we're gonna have these more boxing orientated.
Yeah.
Okay, so first one, right? Train 6 months for a fight that gets cancelled on fight week,
Yeah.
or take a fight on 3 days' notice, no preparation whatsoever, against an absolute monster of an opponent, like the guy who's the best in your weight class.
I'm choosing the latter. 3 days notice, best in my weight class. Listen, the amount of factors that fall into winning or losing a fight, nobody even knows the amount. A fight can end so quickly, can happen so quickly. I'm going to take that gamble. 3 days notice against the best guy in my division. I'll take it. No problem. As long as they obviously say, catch weight, because I have to make the weight. But if they're saying, my weight's good, I'm taking the fight. Beat him, I'm automatically at the top. Come on, man. Then train 6 months and have the fight cancelled. No, I'm all good.
Good. Take a full 12 rounds against a prime Mike Tyson. No headgear, no mercy, just pure survival.
Iron Mike.
Or cut 20 pounds in 2 weeks to make weight for a title fight. Knowing that the dehydration, weakness, and risk of collapsing in the ring could end your career before before the first bell.
Okay, but the guy that I'm fighting, right, with the short notice, is he like champion? Is he the best? Is he like, pound for pound number one?
Probably, but like in comparison to prime Mike Tyson, I mean, nothing's gonna compare, is it?
Oh, man. Yeah, the thing is, I'm not in the same weight division as Mike. I'd be like, I'd fight prime Mike Tyson, but dude, the guy's way larger than me. He's gonna give me the beats. Like it's gonna be an assault. You know what I mean? But legacy wise, I mean, it'd be incredible to be like, I went 12 rounds with Mike. I mean, that's something to boast about. But Oaks, listen, I don't know how long we've been filming for, but this is the end of the episode. And really, I do hope you enjoyed it. We try to get more personal with this episode so you guys can get to know me more, get to know my story more. And if there's one thing that I've realized, especially in recent times, is that, the dream isn't necessarily driving the Lambos, being world champion, having all the money, the fame and notoriety. But I believe the dream is in the journey, as cliche as it might sound, working towards it. The training, all the hard times, all the heartbreaks. I think that's living the dream. It's going to be those times that I look back on once it's all said and done. And I'm like, damn, I remember those times when X, Y, and Z happened. And I'm just laughing with my boys, laughing with Mo. That is the dream. Oaks, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I wish to see you next week. Take care, boys. It's been your boy.